I actually, you know what, I can't call it. I actually legit, I'd have to coin flip this one because I think Snute and Kelazhur are both really good, but that difference of server swapping is going to be really weird. Kelazhur has, like, let's explain this before we do the intros. Kelazhur has a very definitive advantage coming into this because he's going to have potentially 3 games on North America, where Snute can only have a maximum of 2 on Europe. So if Snute wins any of the games on North America, that's going to look really good for him. And we are starting off on North America here for the TING Open. This is the round of 16. It's the second best of 5. The winner of this will go on to fight against Thermal. The loser will fall to fight against Mana. Spawning in the top right side of the map, it's going to be Team Liquid's Red Zerg player, Snute.
In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, he's Root Kelazhur.
So we mentioned date requirements. Kelazhur had a very interesting one. I believe he's flying to... Oh gosh, I think it's Cheesadelphia. He's flying to a land somewhere. So this was the only day he was going to be able to play where he wasn't going to be in transit, and that's fine. But I said, well, dude, are you going to be able to play the round of 8 and the round of 16, or the round of 4 and finals and whatnot? And they said, yeah, no problem. Just unfortunately, the other days were not going to be good for him. So that's why he ended up being one of the people who determined who was going to be in this group. So that's where it actually all started. That's why I bring this up. He was the first person to give us harsh requirements of when he could play.
Well, cool. I would have maybe gone up to Cheesadelphia if, of course, we weren't casting this exact tournament on those days.
Our good friend Fear Dragon going?
Yes, he is. He should be planning his air travel and whatnot for Thursday, I guess.
Damn it.
Or Friday.
So you had the overlay on. I've got I played the game like a chump on. Last night we had some, for those who tuned in and saw them, No Regret ended up having an incidental 2v2v2v2 fest, which I participated in, and didn't do too bad. We didn't win, but I got matched up with like random players against a bunch of GMs, so I didn't think it was going to go too well for me in the first place.
Sure. 2v2v2 is just, it's almost like an FFA, you know, but...
It's like around there. We actually, one of the maps they made, they didn't have it so that you were locked in with your allies, so I got teamed up with No Regret. But as Terran, I just floated my command center over to his base, and then we like probe SCV rushed the other guy's Nexus.
I remember, I don't know why we did it. It was because like a lot of downtime in, it was even one of our tournaments maybe, but we played 2v2v2 or a free-for-all. I can't remember which one. I think it was a free-for-all, and you were observing, and I was playing. And what we did was we just, we teamed up, but not actually, like, locked alliances. And I just remember because Harsum, like, was like, Tommy Grub, I thought you were my bro.
Oh, I remember. It was downtime or something the players offered to help fill in. Because I think Thermal actually played in that too, if I recall.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to remember. You put, like, mech or something, ended up winning.
And Snute does come across the map with some early lings, catches Kelazhur a little off guard. Nothing too harsh yet. There's 2 Hellions on the way. He might lose an SCV or 2. Ooh, doesn't quite get to the bunker with the Marines. That's unfortunate.
To move his command center? Nah, the Hellions are here. Alright, so I know that you went over your predictions, me. You really couldn't call who was going to win, but I don't know. I think that the favorite, if you looked at this on paper, was going to be Snute, especially after his performance at IEM. Like, maybe before his performance, because he was all, like, rocky for a long time, he'd be, like, up in the air. But after his performance this past weekend, I definitely give it to Snute with, I'm going to say 3-1. Even with the server lag. And I don't want to try and, raise any balance complaints, but I think if he plays Roach Ravager, that hopefully there won't be, like, a huge lag spike as he sends his Curse of Biles raining down from above, but I think that will be easier than if he plays Mutiling Bling on the incorrect server.
Okay, fair point. Now, second place finish is nothing too shabby. Spoiler alert. The Banshee following this up is a little bit cool. It's going to be good against the Roaches, but Kelazhur's going to buy a bit of time, as his Hellions are certainly not going to fight against the Roaches too well. Funny enough, Hellions will garbage against Roaches in a lot of situations. Not too bad against Ravagers.
No, not really. But, you're not probably going to see him go for the direct fight. He did go for 2 starports, which we kind of glossed over because I was telling my predictions, but that's quite important.
Oh, 2-port
We
Banshee.
did see Marine Lord go for the Banshee opener with Hellions, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird because who does Hellion Banshee anymore? And then he added on more starports. So this is exactly what Kelazhur is doing, just with a different order of things. A couple of drones are going to go down, but it was pretty quick in the pool.
Yeah, this actually doesn't end up being too bad, but it does bring the Roaches back, which is pretty key to timing. As there's a lot of Lings on the way, he was getting ready to go for this big attack in the front. Still killing a couple more drones. Not too bad at Kelazhur.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, full wall off is up. 2 Banshees should be out, and this hold should be no problem.
Yeah, Snoot's gonna make a huge mistake here. He doesn't think that it's going to be more than, you know, 1 or maybe 2 Banshees. In fact, he might have even decided it was a Banshee until just now, so he should not be able to really do a whole lot against this. In fact, this might just be game, depending on how long these Banshees take to clean everything up. But with the full wall off helping out, the Ravagers being targeted down, Lings are going to get in here and actually get on top of the SCVs. They're going to be the hardest thing for the Banshees to clean up.
He pulled off the reactor. He doesn't have continued Hellion production. I assumed there was going to be Hellions behind this for Kelazhur, so, you know, like, oh, easy peasy clean up on Lings, no problem.
And a wall.
Yeah, this ends up being a lot of problems for Kelazhur, and he's bleeding out a lot of units. Let's not forget that, like, 5 Banshees is not to be underestimated. This is going to have really good power to counterattack, but he's got to make sure he doesn't take too many losses at home. Already 26 SCVs down. No third CC to band-aid these losses.
I assumed that he was going for what Marine Lord did and what we've seen from Gumiho as well, which was that double part Banshee into Air Mech, which you can actually still produce Hellions with because you have so many minerals, you know? But he lifted the factory, he didn't have a wall off. Let's go to the refinery. SCVs went down to the Lings in the first place, and this actually did a lot better than I thought, and Snoot's gonna be happy about that too.
Yeah.
I think if you see 4 Banshees when you're attacking like that, you're always going to be worried, but everything lined up perfectly for Snute, and now he should win this game. Yeah,
the extra Spore Crawler is really going to lock this down, not because of their damage nearly as much as their ability to attack. Queens are going to actually contest with the Banshees, not too poorly with transfuses, but ooh, a couple go down pretty quick. 5 Banshees can definitely target down the Spore Crawler, by the way.
Yeah, they can target down a building Spore Crawler. They can even try and sacrifice, you know, maybe just a little bit of micro and take down the Spore Crawler that's already alive and healthy. I
wonder what's more efficient in this situation, because he is so far behind in workers. If it's better to just kill the base, yeah, just go for the hatchery instead of drone kills.
I guess so. Snoot actually cannot do anything about this. Like, he's trying to get a lair right now, but of course he has it all to do that attack.
There's not enough SCVs repairing.
He doesn't actually have enough SCVs in the natural.
Mules get dropped to repair specifically, but he's got to repair multiple depots.
Cool SCVs from the main.
Meanwhile, he is going ham on the other side of the map. I mean, this is a lot of Banshees. 8 Banshees kill these queens, no problem. But the wall's about to break. The wall's about to break.
Oh, it's so close. He's bringing SCVs now.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I think he's got it. He's got it. But he's getting rid of minerals. He's getting rid of minerals to repair with, and that one depot does go down.
Well, there should be
2 Banshees.
Yeah, there's a lot of Lings went down there, and I think he still loses this. He's gonna lose his lair. He never got a Spire.
This is so weird. What the fuck?
He cannot take on the Banshees.
I mean, the Banshees could... They can't kill that last one because of the triple Spore Crawler, but he could actually go focus down one of the spores with some micro as well. Yeah, that opens up a side of the base in which now these can target down the hatchery. Snute will be on no mining bases. Meanwhile, back at home, as long as he can get a wall off in the main. Move the factory over, wall that off. He realizes this too. Jesus. All right, this is a weird as fuck game. I didn't expect it to go like this. List the command center. Factory's in position. He's locked down the wall. And Snute now has no mining going on whatsoever. He's losing creep to even put the Spore Crawlers down. Meanwhile, there's no repairs going off, but 2 Banshees are picking off these Lings.
How is he? I don't know how he's rebuilding these hatcheries, to be honest. There's still so many Banshees.
I can't believe this worked.
He has one more hatchery to make, and that's it.
Look at all these Spore Crawlers, Zombie Go.
But they're not enough. You just kill the one on the left, and you get the hatchery.
Yeah, a lot of the Banshees are low, so it's making him a bit tentative to go in, but with 2 new ones to come and tank the damage. I mean... I didn't expect this to work with 2 port Banshee. Where's Nathanius? He would be getting a rise out of this game, I'll tell you what. 1 Banshee does go down. Spore Crawler's trying to reposition, but the Banshees get here before it can burrow. It's going to go down. He can't move these in time. Good game.
He wanted to go for bio after this and just never bothered making the barracks. He just put more money into the Banshee.
He had stim. He had stim completed.
Okay.
All right, well, that is going to be the first game for Kelazhur, but it's also a North American game, so we'll see if Snute maybe's got better plans and strategies for the European server as we swap back and over once again. Going to just play a quick, small Ting ad. This will only be like this will be a very short one, guys, while we get into the next game, so we'll see you in just a moment. All right, game number 2 in this best of 5. Keep in mind, we're going to be server swapping based on a coin flip, so we are back on Europe at this point. Playing from the west coast of the United States, the Root Gaming House, it's going to be the Blue Terran player, Kelazhur.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Liquid Snute.
Now that was a pretty silly game and pretty extreme, and lots of backseat gaming in the chat depicting how Snute could have, should have, would have done that game. But truth be told, Snute, he went for his attack. It did a lot of damage, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was just like that little bit of complacency where he said, "You know what? I've done way too much damage. There's just no way. There's just no way."
Yeah, I mean, once you got into the main with those lings too, I think that's where like usually the hold really determines like, are you gonna do too much damage or just enough damage, is if you get into the main as well as the natural. And the fact that he got into the main so easily with that first attack, really, like, I'm sure both players more than once were like, "Oh, I'm dead." Like, okay, yeah, I cost too many SCVs. And then Kelazhur thought about just putting more money into Banshees and created an awesome style in Snute. I think when he saw the Banshees attacking his roaches as he prepped for the attack, wasn't feeling too good. And then, I think the response of going to the lair was absolutely correct. It was just the slightest bit too late. I think he wanted to go for a Spire. He would have had enough gas if he was keeping on gas mining, but he was 70 gas short. And even if he did go for the Spire, 5, 7, 9... like 15 Banshees at the end, they all would have killed a Spire before it would have done anything.
Right, and I mean, there's a couple things to argue for that too. I mean, okay, Spire is one option. Obviously, you get one Muta, one Corruptor, you start dealing with it a lot better. Infestation pick, you have Fungal Growth, Skin Infested Terrans. I think the only thing that would have gone really poor is if you did end up going for a Hydraless Den. Hydras have proven to not be so great versus Banshees. But I think at the end of the day, though, we're like you. It's hard to scrutinize Snute for a situation like that. There are not a lot of 2-port builds in the game right now. You don't see it happen too often, and we're starting to see it. This you mentioned again, Marine Lord trying to do it, Gumio having done it. Like, there are really cool instances where you'll see Air Mech work once in a while, but they don't go for it every single game, and for good reason.
So what's so interesting, though, is that Kelazhur, he went for the 2-port Banshee, and, I was just predicting that he was going to go for what, yeah, exactly, we saw from Marine Lord and Gumiho. Even they did slightly different variations of it, though. But Kelazhur was not going for Air Mech. He was just 2-port Banshee and a Bile. Like, he literally had Stim. We actually saw the barracks as their placement went down before the all-in hit his main, and then he couldn't put him down. He was going to transfer over out of 2-port Banshee, and I would have loved to see how that looked, too. Like, I guess he's going to get 4 or 6 Banshees, depending on how good they did, and then follow with, like, a 2-base push or something. Like, that would have been really interesting to see actually fleshed out, but the game went as weirdly as it did. And Lairlet Crest, oddly enough, does seem to be the map that people are doing this on. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, honestly. Maybe just it's a short map, so short air distance, you get over there pretty quickly. Wide naturals to get the Hellions to kill a lot of drones, which happened. Kelazhur did get a couple of drones, but it's now all 3 of those Terrans we just listed have been gone for that on that map.
So Snute going for fast Overlord speed. I can't say that this is going to be for drops, but it is cool to see. He'll have that mobility for scouting, if nothing else. I think a little bit wary after that 2 starport build. It definitely leaves that option available. Maybe you go for some Roach drops, maybe some Queen drops. I mean, it's not Orena, you're not going to be doing that really fast version of it, but it's still just the option made available through speed. Back at home, though, he is going to have to defend with 3 Queens on the ramp. These Hellions are not an issue.
So, Kelazhur should be wanting to keep the Queens on the ramp and then go and get picked up by the medevac so that they're out of position for the main. Snute gets a scout on the starport not having like a tech lab or anything, but doesn't actually see the medevac pop out of it, and there's the Hellion pickup on those medevacs. But then he goes to the north? Okay, well now he's going to be scouted.
Well, I don't know. This is kind of cool. I mean, Snute's going to have some questions raised, like where the Hellions go, obviously. Maybe
no, like his Overlord saw the drop.
Right, well, I mean, the Overlord saw it, but the question was, did he see it? Because he was dealing with the Reaper, but I guess he does as the Queens do move into position.
It's just unfortunate, of course. He thinks he was being like more clever than if he just gone into the main base, because I guess there were lings in the main base too, but not going to get anything done with this Hellion drop. Ideally just keep it alive though, and maybe do something a minute or 2 later on. Kelazhur is going for a 2-base push. He's got 5 barracks all up and running, well, almost all up and running. The Overlord from Snute with speed, by the way, really wanted to get a scout on it, and I don't know if he saw 3 barracks, but not a 3rd CC. I don't know if he's kind of going to tell that it's not going to be a 3rd CC build, but might get a 2nd scout later on.
So, just worth mentioning, we got some people discussing prices in chat for phone bills and Ting. Someone mentions the $80 bill they have with TELUS. That's probably the same plan I'm on. I really do wish Ting was available in Canada because, unfortunately, phone services in the United States and Canada aren't that great. I know we've had a lot of people from Europe, particularly, bragging about their phone bills over the course of this tournament, but Ting are doing some great things, guys, and they're trying to save people money, which is awesome. And you can't go wrong with that. Because I have yet to hear anyone who signed up with Ting and be like, this is bad, this is terrible service, blah, blah, blah. Every single person that's signed up since we started this tournament or has had it before we even began, some random people on a Reddit thread were just commenting that they've had only great experience with them. So I can't wait to try Ting when I go to the United States. But that's good to see everyone else is also in the same shitty boat as me, and I'm not just some schmuck overpaying my own phone bill. Coming down the middle of the map, this is going to be kind of rough. Loses a queen right off the bat. 2 queens almost. Yeah.
The Hellions will have the opportunity to turn to Hellbats as the armory finishes up. I think he intentionally made that because he wanted those Hellbats. His armor isn't done, so it's not going to be for upgrades. But he pushes in, and Snutes, I said I wasn't sure if he saw it was going to be a 2-base push. I'm thinking he didn't.
Ooh,
he's so close to getting upgrades. He decided to go for an infestation pit. That's not really helping right now.
That tank also not being focused down by the Ravagers means it's just getting lots and lots of free damage at the back of it. 17 drones go down. The Viking lands to get a little bit of extra damage going here, and this is starting to get snowballed out of proportion. Snoop's down in army supply quite significantly. Queens being the only thing he really has to work with. What little Lings are in production.
Wow.
GG, well played. And thank you to Srillo, by the way, subbed right there at the end of the game. But game 2 goes to Kelazhur and Zombie Grub. We're perhaps going to have a repeat of yesterday at this rate.
Maybe. I can't believe that Kelazhur's going to 3-0 Snute, though.
See, this is what I meant, though. Like, Snoot's good. There's no question about that. But it is just that moment where you're like, but so's Kelazhur, right? Like, you got to ponder really hard. This is why I had such a hard time deciding before we even tried to call shots. But back to North America we go, and this is actually not going to bode too well for Snoots, as this is, again, Kelazhur's home server, home field advantage.
Oh, boy.
Okay, well, Detox, like we said, ladies and gentlemen, a very different style of map. And we'll go over the map layout for those who haven't seen it in a moment, because it doesn't get played out too much in the Ting Open. It gets vetoed often here, but played constantly in the Corsair Cup and some of our other events. But spawning here in the bottom left side of the map, it's going to be Root Gaming's Kelazhur.
The top right is the red Zerg. He's Snute.
This map, ... This is why players really got to start. We've left this in here on purpose, guys. There's some questioning on whether we should have brought Central Protocol back or not, but we love this map too much. So right away, right in the get-go, low ground on your main means anyone attacking is going to have the advantage. Natural base is a little bit weird, but you can still wall it off, as we see. Your third base is not 1, but 2 entrances. And your 4th and your 5th have got back entrances through the mineral lines. So the threat comes from the most vulnerable part of the base. Not to mention there's a lot of high ground, some destructible rocks and whatnot. It's a very cool map. We've seen some very excellent games on this map.
Yeah. And so we keep it around.
Yeah, we didn't pick this just because. Like, I think Mana and Hydra are still my favorite duel on this map, but yeah, really, really good ones.
So, Kelazhur says that he likes this map. I don't know how many times he's seen it before, but it's pretty interesting. We've had Marine Lord, I think it was, that was like, this map, I don't like it. Right off the bat, didn't give it a chance. For Kelazhur to say that I like it, maybe he just noticed the easy wall off at the natural. That takes a second to notice that you can actually, go for the natural wall off and you don't actually even want to wall off your main. And that there's quite a bit of dead space, which is going to benefit like Liberator and drop play. But also Mutas, if you want to go on that side.
Oh, on the, yeah. He's actually putting a depot up here.
Yeah, drops have been an issue on this map from Zerg. Nidus Worms could be along similar idea. We don't see that as often.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up. Nurchio. Nurchio is the guy who's made the most use of this map and had the easiest wins. With those, like, Ling drops here, and attack through the mains. Protoss players have just been weeping anytime they play against him on this map.
Yep. So Kelazhur's been enjoying using the Hellions. You know, usually, you know, one, maybe 2 games in a series, you'll see someone go for Hellions and different variations of Hellions. So Hellion drop, Hellbat attack that usually doesn't do very much. Or just like, even we've seen a couple of people go for like a really fast 3rd CC, like back in like Wings of Liberty, you know? But for him to do it twice and now a 3rd time, this potential last game is interesting. Very interesting. They just aren't as powerful as they were, or as, they weren't even that powerful, as useful as they were, it feels, in Heart of the Swarm. But he's been utilizing them pretty well. The first game, they weren't really what won the game. Banshees were. The second game didn't really win him the game, but they certainly helped his push turning into Hellbats. And this 3rd game, it's actually going for a starport. We'll see if he's going to go for the medevac drops again.
You know, the Reaper going down kind of sucks. Just realizing now how much this map is not too unlike Ruins of Ceres when it comes to Reaper scouting and availability to do so. But there's layer started, factories up. I mean, production for both players is well underway, but no one really bold enough to reach out for that 3rd too quick. And Snute's going to take it soon-ish, but again, it's a very exposed map, and it's hard to keep things from catching you off guard.
Well, I like that Snute is mixing things up too. We went for 2-base Spire this time. He's going to hold off on that 3rd base, seeing the Hellions, I suppose, and thinking that, like, okay, I'm not going to be able to secure it. Might also be afraid of an all-in, or sorry, a Hellbat attack, not an all-in. Because for some people, you know, if you see that once in a best of 5 Hellion build, you're going to be like, oh, they're Hellbat attacking me. Like, what else are you going to build Hellions for? So you do have to be wary of it, and Snute might be a little bit too wary, as it is only just a couple of Hellions. The hatchery probably could have survived, but he's not going to risk it. Goes for a spine crawler, in fact, too. So I think he's a little scared playing this 3rd game down 2-0.
The Liberator is certainly interesting. That's it's going to get shut down by the Spire. He scans this too, so we'll see how much he actually dedicates to it. I mean, there's no point canceling the Liberator. You can still get a little bit of denial. And, I mean, for context, guys, just like 30 seconds of drones not mining is almost always certainly worth the Liberator.
Well, unfortunately, the Spire is going to be very useful here against the Liberators. Not so useful against the Marines right now, however, but Ling's going to almost full wrap around there. Hellions go into the natural. They run past that spine crawl. They're not going to get too much damage once against Snute. Very quick on the pool and the drones. And the medevac actually goes down, so pretty unsuccessful multi-pronged attack. And the Liberator that's coming up right now is also not going to add very much, as the mutas are now out.
Yeah, 9 popping as we speak. We got a $5 donation coming in from Terminator101, by the way. He says, my burger came, made from ground beef, not that hippie chicken burger you guys like in BC. By the way, more Nerf Zerg. And then, damn, as I'm reading this, Alaska Winter donates $20. There we go. Says, I'm just going to slide this Nerf Terran under the table. Hashtag pancakes, hashtag waffles. And, of course, Gina Tonic, our wonderful Banstress, has just reset for 17 months as well at the same time. Big love to all of you.
We all worship the spaghetti monster.
Pastafarians.
So, I really like what Snute does here. So he cleans up the Liberator, not with the mutas, so I don't know if I like that much, but the point is Liberator is cleaned up. But then he does a double expand to get to the gold, realizing that he's going to have a certain time where his mutas are kind of in control of the map. Now that time is not very long.
Ooh.
You know, they get a missile turret, which is kind of nice, and they're going to have to react to those engineering bays. But Kelazhur is going to have 1-1 with Stim soon, and hopefully medevacs, and he could push out. He's not going to medevacs, though.
I actually like the Liberator production. Liberators are, of course, not exactly Thors when it comes to stopping mutas, but they're fairly cheap, and the splash damage not to be underestimated.
Yeah. Well, their ability to just move around like the Mutalisk, as opposed to a Thor that gets stuck on supply depots and tech labs and goes on a ramp like a silly Billy and all that. So they're certainly more useful. Now, this is interesting. So he's finally going to start adding medevacs as he realizes that the muta threat has been dealt with for now. Only one medevac, though. That's been a mistake. But he's going for double upgrades on 2 bases, and I'm like making sure I'm not missing a 3rd CC here, and I'm not. And that's usually not what you do. Like, usually if you're going to go for a 2-base attack, you only get 1 engineering bay, and then you try and hit with the 1-1. But he's actually going to have maybe 2-2, And combat shields, too, of course. Definitely a necessary upgrade. Before Snute even has 1-1. That's a pretty severe disadvantage for Snute. Excuse me.
Well, with the 4 bases good to go and Kelazhur's still not on a 3rd, playing Mutilating Bling is actually going to be affordable, which is kind of funny. Because every time we see this, it's just too costly.
No.
Wait, these aren't changelings. What are you guys doing? Slacking off. Get to the front lines.
No. But here's Kelazhur's push. He's finally able to do. Now he doesn't have to worry about his own base. Snute has eyes on that 3rd base, and of course he had eyes in the main with his Mutalisk and saw no 3rd CC. I guess it could have been in the natural, technically, but he should have been prepared for an attack like this. He will have Baneling speed, but again, that 1-1 upgrade's not going to finish. Kelazhur, he might have to push in before his 2-2, and that's a little unfortunate. But if he sees an opportunity to kill these before they're morphed, maybe that could have been good, but the Banelings are all done, and I think Snute has this attack. He's taking it really carefully, though, making even more Banelings off to the right. More Marines come forward. It's actually a lot of reinforcements.
The Hellbats are kind of cool. They'll soak a lot of hits, but unfortunately, these splits have got to be really, really, really good. Looks like they're not too bad. Certainly enough Marines to take on the Mutas, but more Banelings coming in. Snute, of course, does have that round 2, again, being able to afford these, but this is kind of the extent of his ground army. He's got to clean up Kelazhur with what he's got, and looks like he will just barely do that. Mutalisk takes some very scary damage thanks to that Liberator, and I think if Kelazhur wanted to dive in on a couple of the Mutas, it would be worth it, but it'd be risky, because he really doesn't have a lot left. He's rallied forward. There's no round 2 bulked up in the main, and without a 3rd base, I mean, he really has to get in here and do damage. Now, he took on the majority of Snute's army. He burned through a lot of Snute's Banelings, but as we see, Snute's just building more. He's got the money for it.
The upgrades did finish a couple seconds ago for both parties, so Kelazhur was gonna, he had literally half a second to have 2-2 over 1-1, but the point is he wasn't up in upgrades and still did not take that fight. Now he's got round 2, trying to get ready to go here. Breaking on the back rock is a good idea. The Liberators can cover the ramp, but it will open him up to the possibility of that back attack. He has no splash, really, to help him out here. No Widow Mines to get a hit on these clumped up Banelings, and they're just going to roll on in.
From 2 different sides, he's trapped.
Yes, he is.
Now the Muta's going to take some damage from the Liberators, but Snute does split them, so it's not going to be too bad. Manages to deal with all of this, and Snute coming back into the series fighting strong. Kelazhur still sitting here on 2 bases, rallying what little he has forward. GG, well played. Snute starts taking the series back. But of course, this does mean we got to swap servers once again, so folks, don't go anywhere, as we are going to play some commercials as we swap servers once more back to Europe. So stick around, and we'll see you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. All right, it is game number 4 here for the TING Open. Once again, if you guys live in the United States, you're the only ones who can get benefits from trying out TING. U.S. mobile phone service looking to save you some money each month on your phone bill, so check them out, bttv.ting.com, so you get $25 in credit, and they know you came from us. But spawning here at the bottom left side of the map, it's going to be the Red Zerg player. Uh-oh. Liquid Snute. I see what you were grinning about.
In the top left, mostly, it's the Blue Terran, Kelazhur.
Mostly. Now, this Rax thing, again, we actually have, like, and someone could maybe correct me on this, but like a 0% win rate of just Marines versus Zerg on Arena. The one time we've actually seen this work was actually versus Protoss, funny enough. That was Lily Canine versus Walmu. Seriously,
yeah.
SC2HL did a highlight of it. If someone could link that in chat, it was like a really epic, hilarious game. But, Snute has had a bit of a weakness since HOTS for proxy racks. However, the added economy, the more drones, you can pull more drones, you can deal with this better. As long as the bunker never goes up, this isn't so problematic, as long as it gets scouted.
So I think our record for TVZ is something like 1-7, something like that, or maybe 2-8. But I remember one person tried to defend with no drones and then let their hatchery die, and then they couldn't bust out with their Ravagers, and by then, like, the Terran was all good to go. I very distinctly remember them losing that one and being like, oh, I guess it does work, like, once every, couple months. But it is like a drastically low win rate. So this is the one that we're always a little confused about. Like, it must work on ladder, otherwise why would they do it? I think it works on people who are being really greedy too. Not that any Zerg player is going for a 3-hatch for a pool, but the players that are going for the later pool, you know, Gaston pool, latest pool possible, they're not pooling their drones against this. They actually let the hatchery die. Those are all the games that have the higher chance of the Terran actually doing something.
So he's actually gone straight to roaches out of this, and I'm curious if we'll see a layer come down or if he's going to use the gas for roaches right away. Either way, what's kind of funny is Kelazhur did cancel that second bunker, kind of says, oh, I definitely don't need this, and continues to go about his business. Takes us down pretty easily, actually. As if he's actually one dies to the broodlings, funny enough. Thank you, Ronan Dude, for the 8-month resub. And Mr. Boris Makarov donated $5 during the break, by the way. He says, and I'm sure it's a pickup line, Rifkin, I'm no photographer, but I can picture us together.
So, Snute should just be using these roaches to bust the bunker. It's only one bunker, so we might not even need to make them into Ravagers. The roach response to 2 racks was actually becoming really popular in Heart of the Swarm, and of course has just been improved upon against the 3 racks with Ravagers. And it does pretty well. Unfortunately, the added complication on this map in particular, and why we see the 3 racks in this map, is that there's a wall. There's 2 walls, maybe even if they wall off the other end of the bridge too, and it's just it's just a hard thing to actually get across, get past, and it gives the Terran a lot of time to macro out of it in whatever way they decide to. For the Kelazhur, it's by getting a factory, so not actually macroing out of it, but continuing to produce units because he needs units. Like, if he can't just let these barracks die. First of all, like, maybe one can die, but not all of them, and he does need units to defend against his main base.
Yeah, one barracks floated to scout would have been ideal in this situation, but buildings are slow enough. Ravagers can actually target them down. One of these barracks will probably die. Actually, if Snute wants to throw in a couple more corrosive biles, but not going to be focusing and wasting time on that. He wants to get across the map to its suites, get that Overlord in position for some high ground vision, and stop raining some corrosive biles at the top of this ramp.
Mm-hmm. It's some really nice pressure. He does want that last barracks.
Yeah, he'll
kill
it.
Yeah.
That's nice, actually. That does cut out a considerable amount of production. Now, of course, for Snute, he's still waiting to get his natural up, and it looks like he doesn't want to press the issue. Although I do feel like it's not too risky to put an Overlord forward and just start chipping away, either forcing repairs, killing SUVs straight up, or Marines that are AFK. And it looks like he will start walking back for that. So, again, high ground vision is the most hard thing to get in this situation.
I guess he's afraid that the Marines would come down and actually take these Ravagers on, because of course they don't have a lot of health. Or that a tank is about to pop out, and a tank is about to pop out, so he could have done a little bit more damage. Maybe repairs last a little bit longer, but he does pull back once again. And this game continues on. This is actually the cleanest game follow-up to a 3 racks that we've seen.
Yeah.
Usually either ends, they pull the drones, the Terran loses, or they can't bust past the 3 bunker wall off on the low ground, even with Ravagers. That's how the one guy lost. And I can't remember who did lose, and he better be thankful about that, because that would just be embarrassing.
Okay.
To name him, like 1 in 7, you're the guy that lost. Please.
Okay, so the tank drop is going to be quite annoying for Snute to deal with, but I think with Queen's pre-position and the Ravagers, he should be okay. But it's not actually going to be tank drop harass. It is a push with the Marines left over from earlier, and that's where this gets a little bit tricky. Doesn't have link speed yet. It's close to finishing. Ravagers, of course, his greatest asset. Force pickups on the tank, and while you might not kill it, you'll at least keep it from shooting damage.
Mm-hmm. This is not a bad attack, though, so far. Like, he needs to do damage to the attack, which is why it's not doing enough.
I mean, Kelazhur's not trying to take it in the natural. He is looking to win the game off this. So the better Snute defends, and the longer Snute defends, the better the game looks for him.
Might have to chalk this up to another failed 3 racks, but he's going to continue trying. That tank drop does have a lot of potential for damage, but it's really when it's 2 and then 3 tanks on that ledge that the Terran really has to be scared of, and they do have to be accompanied by more than 1 medevac too. Just going to be constantly shifting around. He's instead going to follow up with Liberators, which is, we certainly see, but with the Ravagers already being made, potentially might just go down really quickly. The tank is finally going to come up here too, finally being produced, running over now. It's something that is going to be really good entrenched in a ledge like that, but there's also just a lot of time for Snute to use his better economy to try and get a bigger army. And
Oh,
there goes
picks
medevac.
off the medevac, which means the tank's going to go down, which means the Liberator's going to go down.
Gee.
Kelazhur taps out. We are going to have ourselves an ace match. However, it is going to be on the North American server. So home field advantage here will go to Kelazhur. Now, of course, tied up 2-2. This whole series has been a little bit strange. You know, you got Kelazhur trying different like the cheese on Leerlac worked. Obviously, the cheese on El Reina did not. I really am curious if he just did that because he knew that if he didn't, Snute was probably going to like queen drop him or something really stupid that just can't be dealt with. I mean, it looks like a silly build out of Kelazhur, but they may have been one of those like, well, I guess I have to because it's this map type of builds.
Potentially.
Either way, it's going to be our first ace match in what is like 6 best of 5.
Yes, that is definitely true. It's going to be on Ruins as well.
Okay, let me go load that map intro before we get the lobby. Oh, someone had donated to nerf a race again. I gotta go look for that too. One sec, guys. Do the map intro first. Close that. Yeah, Nerf Terran. Alaska Winter donated $20 to Nerf Terran. Alaska Winter, you son of a son. Huh, that's actually gonna be 669 now though. 669.
Ew. I used your 68 joke on a friend yesterday.
Yeah, how'd that go? Did she like it?
She thought it was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ready to go as soon as they are. Ruins of Ceres, map number 5. Remember, we do the losers match first, so the loser of the series will fight against Mana in the next best of 5. So we'll find out whether it's TVP or ZvP upon the conclusion of this game. But we'll see you guys in just a moment. All right, game number 5 for the Ting Open. Really good start to the day. Yeah, we had that 3-0 from Euthermal, and I was worried this was going to be another fast day over and done with too quick, but I got a little bit more energy in me today. Hopefully we're going to see a few more games out of the players. Spawning here in the top left side of Ruins of Ceres, we've got the red Zerg. It's Team Liquid's Snute.
And top right as the teal Terran, he's Roots Kelazhur.
Root for root. You know, there's still no other team at this point that has like a cool slogan, and I really wish there was. But at any rate, Kelazhur does find himself on a map like Ruins where he can macro if he'd like. Maybe he decides to get super aggressive. I don't know. But it's nice to know that you're not forced into cheese because the map like Arena does dictate that either you or your opponent will do it pretty much guaranteed almost every time.
Yeah. I mean, that is a pretty good point. Snute is not the type of guy that you always expect that all in from, but he certainly has it in him in a best of 5, so it is scary. It does look kind of unbeatable. But so does, you know, those 2-base tank attacks from Terran on that map, so could have been a scary map in multiple places for both of them. Ruin should be a lot cleaner, yeah. Even in these spawn locations, which isn't ideal for Snute, it's still a very large map. It's not going to play as well as, you know, the tank push on Leerlac would in the same positions. And Kelazhur, well, we'll see if he goes for Hellions again. He did seem to enjoy that up until Arena, where he tried to 3 racks. And he has been doing fairly well with them. And, yeah, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what their builds are going to be, because right now it's just pretty standard.
I just got slapped with the greatest spam email of all time, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Laser Quest has been sending me relentless emails recently inviting me back. And Laser Quest, if you recall, is the place we went to in Toronto with Huck and all the other folks.
Yeah.
Still a good time. Man, I love... That was so fun. That was so fun. But, yeah, wow, they just sent me like 11 emails, so I'm hoping their system's bugged and they're not actually this aggressive. Holy cow. My phone just went like ding, 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 ding.
It's like this super annoying, but I do hate that they just... Even if you say, like, don't subscribe to the newsletter, you know that they're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
You get an email and you're like, I'm pretty sure I said not to do that.
I'm just going to turn my phone off. I don't even want to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's going to spam like that. Alright, anyways, my phone woes aside. Kelazhur does scout incorrectly first. Snoot's going to get the very nice scout here. Of course, he also scouts incorrectly first, so not a huge deal. But there are a couple of nuances to this map outside of what we talked about earlier where, you know, comparing it to maps like Arena. You still have the problems where if you're a Zerg player and you take this base, it's a little bit dangerous. not as dangerous as against Blink Stalkers, but if Kelazhur starts dropping all over the place, it can be a little bit difficult. Same thing kind of goes towards expanding. You don't want to take your fourth too close to your opponent, but we have seen some Zerg players who have been favoring this because they like playing faster to hive. They like getting the units on the front lines faster, Roaches, Ravagers, and Hydras, or whatever the case may be. So I am a little curious how Snute plans to take his fourth, and more specifically where he plans to take his fourth. But we'll leave that for the later game.
It's usually, you know, but the difference between Roach Ravager and Mutilating Bling is where you take the fourth base. So he's going for Roaches for now, but there are so many different variations and times they can switch and change their minds to go into Mutas or stick on this, or hell, even, try and go up to straight to Hive and get to Ultralisk. That's going to be determined a little bit later. But Kelazhur is going for double Liberators, and that's going to be pretty scary, as well as these Hellions also being reacted out. It's going to be a lot of units that can't take a direct engagement too well, but are obviously going to be able to distract very well. And at some point, Snute's going to break and lose drones to one or another. And this is the ideal situation anyways.
Yeah. Liberators en route. Really curious, actually, if he'll use these for the front lines or take them to the back. If they do draw the Queens out of position, that does open for the Hellions to run on by, but at the same time, if they decide to push with said Hellions, that's going to be quite the force to deal with. So I'll be curious to see how he uses them. Reaper gets picked off, because unfortunately this is not a map you can really use Reapers on, sadly.
Yeah, he can't. It's not going to happen. This is a lot of Roaches. These Liberators, the Hellions obviously see a couple of Roaches, but 3 Roaches really does just look like, okay, I got these to specifically push your Hellions off, but seeing more than that, and you know that you're going to have to defend. He has a wall off, he has a bunker, but he doesn't have a lot to put in. He went for a lot of key units for harassment, not for a direct fight. And these units are going to have a lot to zone up to if these Roaches are able to break down the wall.
Well, not really denying much, and in a pretty bad spot with that Liberator, if you're going to be honest. Not repositioning, because, of course, he's focused on the other side of the map. This Liberator, again, not in such a great spot. Going to be picked off by Chris Miles. Oh, barely dodges it. Nicely done. Bunker still goes down, though, because he was busy moving around and not repairing that bunker. And this is getting kind of messy for Kelazhur. In fact, I would argue game over almost already. It sounds a little bit silly to say, but he's got no defense.
Where's the 2-port Banshee that's going to save him?
Right? So,
oh, no, it's not here.
Double Liberator's going to have a hard time stopping with Ravagers constantly on their ass. That's going to be it. GG. What an anticlimactic end to that series. But Kelazhur will fall and Snute will rise. So we'll have Snute versus Euthermal in the the winners match. But that will be after this next series, because we will be going to Mana versus Kelazhur, if I can get any of these names right. God damn. But all right. We got Gleeburp. That's why I was giggling in that game. This is a fun name to say. Gleeburp. 4 months for the resub, and then Mr. Boris Makarov donates $5 more, and he says, "It was an emotional wedding. Even the cake was in tears." Clever. I've not heard that one before. That's good. I feel like I should have known that one, though. But it's okay. We got to go back to Europe. We'll do the coin flip again, because Kelazhur versus Euthermal will be back and forth, perhaps. But before that, we got to go to words from our sponsors. So, TING, again, we've been talking about them all day. Hopefully you guys are starting to pick up what they are, who they are, what their deal is. Of course, they are helping us put on this $5,000 tournament, money coming entirely from them. And I guess we started off today talking about their coverage. Yeah, we did coverage first, right? Or did we do rates? I don't remember. You know what? We didn't do devices. I know that for certain. So for those of you who are wondering if you can even consider using Ting, obviously if you want to claim the $25 in credit, you can put that towards a new device from their store. They sell a lot of smartphones, and that's cool. But also, maybe your device is already compatible with Ting. So here's a word from our sponsors. Specifically speaking on devices, it's just worth noting that 80% of devices made in the last 2 years are actually compatible with Ting.